Now, coming up into the Theatre Royal in June and July are two performances, well actually four performances if truth be known, by Samuel Beckett, covered by the umbrella name of A Taste of Beckett, Footfalls and also Krapp's Last Tape. And these two people here with me are the stars of the respective plays. First of all, Carrie Crowley. I think people might be aware of you, Carrie.
If they're local, like.
Local people.
Yeah.
Fair City Lady, Eurovision, RT. There was a time, I think, back in the 90s or early 2000s when you couldn't turn on your television or radio set without seeing or hearing Carrie Crowley.
Because I was on everything bar the Angelus. Yeah.
Did that get to you after a little while?
Oh no, it didn't, because it was never a game plan anyway. I was kind of there by accident, and I stayed there by accident.
Yeah.
And then I happily moved out of it, because then I started to actually, in my mid-30s, to realise what I wanted to do with my life. Yeah. I was just a late developer. Anyway.
But it stood you well.
Oh yeah, and I wouldn't change anything. You know when people say, if you could go back and change one thing in your life, what would you change? I wouldn't change anything, because everything we do, good or bad, makes us who we are, you know, and what we are, I suppose.
But you were always very much a media person. I mean, being involved with media, with WLR here in town, then with RT. So media is pretty much in your blood, or the arts certainly, in that perspective of it.
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, the arts would have been, and even when I was working on WLR way back when, which was fantastic, and I loved my time in WLR. Yeah. But I had an arts programme, Arts After Hours, and I was just thinking about it the other day, because I know Mary O'Neill now does one. Yeah. And when I had Arts After Hours, it was on a Sunday night, began at 11, it ended at 2 in the morning. So 11 to 12 was kind of the arts content, and then midnight to 2 was music. But sometimes there'd be people going on tour with plays, and nobody had mobile phones at the time, and people would stop at phone boxes in the middle of a bog to ring to say how the show had gone, because we would have had an interview with them the previous week. Yeah. And I still meet people sometimes who say, I remember stopping on a big boggy road in such and such a place to call back, because the deal was, please call back before midnight. Yeah. So people would ring at happening, and you'd just see the phone flash, it was like, great, they're there. And then you could link up with other stuff that you had done with them. Yeah. So it was really lovely, and it meant as well, I tend to go to things anyway, and I always went to things, but I was going to them for two reasons, one for myself and one for work. You'd know this, Arthur, as well. Like, you go to things to see what's happening, what's working, why is it working, why is the thing that's not working. You know, so it's an investigative thing, but it's also a real pleasure, you know.
I was just thinking there's kids, probably not kids, youngsters watching this now are saying, what's a telephone box?
Oh yes, we'll draw one for you.
Also here is Arthur Reardon, who stars in Krapp's Last Tape. Arthur, what's your background in all of this?
I've been mostly an actor for a long time now. And in the last few years also, I've written some plays, and I sort of divide my time between the two now. The most recent one was a thing called The Train, which was about the 1971 contraceptive train, when the newly formed women's liberation movement, Irish women's liberation movement, went to Belfast to buy contraceptives which were illegal in Ireland at the time, and to come down and confront customs on arrival in Connolly. So myself and Bill Whelan wrote a musical about that. It was on a couple of years ago. Then it was revived very successfully in the Abbey earlier this year. But yeah, divide my time as best I can between acting and writing. Yeah.
And you both know each other quite well.
Yes.
Well, we first worked together in Waterford, so our first, and that was actually my first time kind of meeting you.
Yeah.
We did Peter Pan when Michael Hunt was in the Theatre Royal, and a gang came down from Dublin. Jerry O'Brien, Carl O'Neill, who else? There were a few others. Jack Lynch. It was actually fun for us. It was great fun. It mightn't have been a hugely successful production, but it was good gas. And a lot of local kids were involved in it as well, because you needed all the young people, you know. So that was nice. But then the thing that I'm kind of most pleased about is that I got to work, and one of the things, Arthur's been really humble when he says, I write a bit as well. It's like, the first time I saw a show called Improbable Frequency, it blew my mind, and I thought, before I die I want to be in that show. Anyway, a few years later they were doing a tour and I ended up in the touring production
And
of
you're
it.
not dead yet.
And I'm not dead yet. And Arthur was in as well. And it was just great fun. But it's like suddenly you're working with somebody that you have really kind of revered in terms of... No, I'm serious. In terms of what he had created with Improbable Frequency. And the train, which I missed, but which I will see, apparently has that same magic. And it's something... You just have a gift. Anyway. So you're sitting beside a gift.
And you're back full circle. You're back to the Theatre Royal with A Taste of Beckett.
Yeah.
The whole notion of doing two Beckett plays, I'm assuming both of you are fans of Beckett in the first place.
Very much, yeah.
I love the sparsity of it, and I love the language. But I think it's a really hard one to explain to people. People say, oh, you know, what are we supposed to think about this? And I think you have to actually park that thinking brain and just go into a feeling kind of part of your core and just go with it. Let it take you where it takes you, and don't try to analyse it or understand it.
Don't ask it to answer any questions, because it won't. It just is. Each play of his just is, and you take it for what it is.
That's it in a nutshell. It is.
Right.
So come into it. My one, Ben Barnes, who's directing, would say there are 4 movements in Footfalls. So there are different sections within it, and it's a slightly different feeling. So the character is somewhere different at different moments. I'm not going to try and explain it to anybody. I just would love people to come and open their minds to it. It's like, don't try and work it out. Just come into it.
Just to get a brief synopsis, it's a lady by the name of May who's talking to her mother. Or maybe, or Amy, yeah. So, and she's talking to her mother, who we never see. So, how much of a challenge was it for you as an actress then? This play.
I just love the words, and I love the way he places words, and it's really specific in the placement, isn't it? It's so like nothing is put there kind of just to fill a bit of space. That would be the furthest thing from Beckett ever. It has to land in the right way, and it has to mean exactly what it's meant to mean, and if it doesn't, he'll change it in the middle of the speech. So you're saying something and then you correct yourself to say it the right way, because it matters that it's the right way.
When I did my little bit of research, I just got one quote from Beckett himself as he directed the play back in the 70s. He says that walking should be like a metronome. One length must be measured in exactly 9 seconds. I mean, is Ben that strict with you?
I don't know if we're doing it in exactly 9 seconds, but it's 7 paces, and I'd say it's close enough. And interestingly, because we will always time our performance, and yesterday I did it twice, and you would have done yours twice as well. And it was funny because afterwards we looked at the times, and there was a 14-second difference between one of them and the other. And Ben, joking, I hope, said 14 seconds were they? And like on stage, nothing is ever exact. But with Beckett, it is kind of that specific that you will be very much within the same time frame and within the same part of your core and your body and your head. And it's brilliant, but it's also exhausting. You come out of it and you just feel like somebody has taken the plug out of you and you've just gone and you have to then plug back up again to go the next time.
How does your play then? Yours is Krapp's Last Tape. How does that differ? Does it differ greatly in technical terms?
It probably does in that. First of all, Krapp's Last Tape is a much more straightforward sort of story. It's in a way it's Beckett's reaction to what was then a relatively new piece of technology, the reel-to-reel tape recorder, and he speculated what might happen if somebody spent their life meticulously recording all their experience and eventually listening back to it quite a lot of the time as well. And so, I mean, that's the premise, which is straightforward enough. And I think as well, it sort of serendipitously talks to today as well, because many of us spend our lives commemorating each moment on Twitter or on Instagram or whatever else, and the danger is the same, that we spend so much time recording our lives that we actually let our life pass us by, and that's certainly one strain of Krapp's Last Tape. there is another sort of related element in that Krapp is an artist, and so towards the end of his life, when he's an elderly man like myself at the end of the play, you get the impression from him that he's beginning to wonder about his great work of art, what he had intended as his great work of art, or possibly answering some great philosophical question, that may all have been a waste, and that he let his life pass by trying to answer or trying to achieve that. And so, I mean, the brilliant thing is there are these huge questions, and the man given the job of answering or dealing with these questions is a feeble, clownish man called Krapp. And I love that about Beckett, that he's not afraid of the huge issues, but he's also not afraid of the cheapest possible gags. And
like literally the banana skin.
Yep, that is a banana skin.
Are you both enjoying this particularly? Is what I wanted to ask you. I mean, I know it can get quite deep and quite intense, but do you really enjoy doing what you do?
Yeah. I haven't loved something as much in a long time, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a self-flagellation because it's torturous in its own way, but it's amazing.
And live as well, of course.
But there's a depth of feeling in it that's really hard. If you're in a play where you're bouncing back and forth with other people, that's a different experience. But when it's just you, inside your own kind of core, inside what Beckett has made of you, it's a really intense experience. And I'm so grateful that I'm getting the chance to do it.
Same here.
Yeah, it's...
So it's
amazing.
Taste of Beckett, Footfalls is Carrie's play, and Krapp's last tape is Arthur's. And when does it all kick off, Carrie?
Friday 23rd.
You're in rehearsal at the moment. And funnily enough, if there's a bit of irony in it, today is Bloomsday. We're happy to be talking. I know it's not the same person, but I'm just wondering, is there anything in the air about that one? Well, we look forward to seeing it. It's in the Theatre Royal, 23rd, and also is it right through the 21st, or it's just those 2 dates?
No, it's the 23rd is opening night, and then every Wednesday and Thursday. Sorry, every Thursday and Friday.
Until
so it's
the 21st.
Never on a Saturday because there's a big band on a Saturday. Okay. And there's one Friday that it's not on. I think the 14th. There's no show.
Well, all the details will be up on Theatre Royal's website as well. Carrie Crowley, Arthur Reardon, pleasure talking to you. And as I say, break a leg.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers.